In any situation where you're forced to leave your home due to a major disaster, commonly called an SHTF, there are significant risks to consider. Deciding to bug out and leave the safety of your home is a big decision. Everyone talks about bug out bags, bug out locations, and it sounds so easy until you're the one facing everything to survive being carried on your back. So let's look at 10 key reasons why bugging out can drastically increase your chances of not making it through SHTF alive. Poor physical condition. Bugging out requires physical endurance, and yet many of us are not in optimal shape. Panic and adrenaline may initially propel you forward, but soon you're going to realize just how out of shape you are, making the journey even more challenging. In many high-income countries, like the United States, it's estimated that over 60% of adults are overweight. And 17% of those same people are classified as obese, meaning they are carrying around an additional 30 to 100 pounds or more on their bodies. This added weight can slow down movement and increase fatigue. Additionally, people with excess weight may have reduced stamina and endurance, making it harder to navigate through rugged terrain or cope with prolonged physical exertion. And that's not even discussing the health concerns from so much exertion on a body that's not used to it. Exposure. The elements can be merciless, causing hypothermia in the cold or heat stroke in high temperatures. Many aren't prepared to handle these extremes, both physically and mentally, which can lead to dire consequences. Most people today spend their lives in controlled environments, shielded from the extremes of weather. As a result, they may lack the experience and preparation needed to cope with prolonged exposure to extreme heat or cold during a bug-out scenario, even with knowledge and gear. Being perceived as a threat. In a state of chaos and uncertainty, people may become hypervigilant and suspicious of anyone they encounter, viewing them through a lens of potential danger. This heightened state of alertness can lead to misunderstandings, conflict, or even violence as people prioritize their own safety and survival. Despite your genuine intentions, the mere presence of unfamiliar faces in a crisis can trigger defensive responses. This potential situation reinforces the importance of caution and diplomacy in navigating interactions during a bug-out scenario. Lack of supplies. Lack of supplies is a critical challenge when bugging out, as you're forced to leave behind the majority of your provisions, including food, water, and essential gear, including ammo. Many of the items you're forced to leave behind could have been part of your emergency plan and critical to your survival. While you may have a bug-out bag with some supplies, it's often not enough to sustain you for any extended period. And as days pass and resources dwindle, the sense of urgency to find replenishment grows, heightening the risk of exposure to danger and increasing the likelihood of making risky decisions in search of sustenance. Beware of authority. In the aftermath of a crisis, established systems of authority may become strained or even collapse altogether. In such scenarios, various entities, including military, law enforcement, or government agencies, may assert control or enforce regulations with varying degrees of transparency and accountability. While these authorities may aim to maintain order and provide assistance, there's also the potential for abuse of power, coercion, or imposition of restrictions that could compromise individual freedoms or safety. So it's essential to approach interactions with authority figures cautiously, prioritize personal safety, and remain vigilant for any signs of overreach or misuse of authority. Alternatively, avoid any interactions with authority figures to begin with, and avoid the chance of these situations happening to begin with. Oversight of essential items. In the chaos of a crisis, access to critical supplies like food, water, and medical supplies may be tightly controlled or restricted by authorities or other groups seeking to maintain order or gain leverage. This oversight can exacerbate the challenges of survival, as people may find themselves competing for limited resources or facing barriers to obtaining necessary provisions. Additionally, the allocation of essential items may be influenced by political or social factors, further complicating the distribution process and heightening tensions among affected populations. This is one way that civil unrest is created, and in an SHTF situation, you do not want to be in the middle of that. As such, being mindful of potential restrictions on essential items and exploring alternative sources of supply can be crucial for ensuring resilience in the face of adversity. Friends and family. While the instinct to stick together with loved ones during a crisis is natural, it's essential to recognize that they may pose challenges or risks in a bug-out scenario. For example, they may not be physically fit or equipped to handle the demands of survival, potentially slowing down the group or putting themselves in harm's way. In a desperate situation, loved ones could inadvertently attract attention or become targets for individuals seeking resources or leverage, especially if they have no prepping knowledge. Furthermore, if any of them have health issues or special needs, it adds another layer of complexity and responsibility to the group dynamic, requiring additional resources and care. So, while maintaining connections with friends and family is vital, it's crucial to assess their capabilities and plan accordingly to ensure everyone's safety and well-being. Lack of planning. When it comes to bugging out, having a solid plan can mean the difference between safety and disaster. Without thorough preparation and foresight, people may find themselves ill-equipped to navigate the challenges of a bug-out scenario effectively. For instance, failing to map out a designated bug-out route or establish rendezvous points along the way could result in confusion or disorganization during evacuation. Overlooking critical considerations like securing alternative shelter or identifying potential hazards along the route can increase the likelihood of encountering obstacles or dangers along the way. The absence of a well-thought-out plan leaves people vulnerable to the uncertainties and risks inherent in a crisis situation, highlighting the importance of proactive planning and preparation for any bug-out scenario. Medical care. In a bug-out scenario, access to medical assistance and supplies could be limited or non-existent, posing significant risks to health and well-being. Without proper medical care, even minor injuries or illnesses can escalate into life-threatening emergencies, especially for those with pre-existing conditions or chronic health issues. The lack of essential medications or medical equipment can exacerbate health challenges and hinder recovery efforts. Inadequate bug-out location. The choice of a bug-out location plays a pivotal role in determining your ability to weather a crisis effectively. Opting for an ill-suited or poorly researched bug-out location can expose people to unnecessary risks and challenges. For instance, selecting a bug-out location without considering factors like access to essential resources, terrain suitability, or proximity to a potential threat can severely compromise your safety and survival prospects. An inadequate bug-out location may lack sufficient infrastructure or provisions to sustain occupants over an extended period, leading to increased hardships and vulnerabilities. Bugging out should be a last resort, reserved for extreme situations where staying put is no longer an option. It's crucial to be well prepared and aware of the potential risks involved in bugging out. Prioritize thorough planning and readiness to ensure the best chances of survival.